Hello and a warm welcome to all attendees joining today's webinar, How to Migrate Oracle Forms to ADF, Apex, any other technology. Well, the plan is part one of the series of PITSCon Oracle migration webinars aimed to giving a deeper insight into transition and modernization process. Why do some migration projects succeed while others fail to reach their goals? Whether migrating Oracle Forms to ADF, Apex, or more exotic technologies, the difference between success and failure often lies in finding ways to migrate smarter, not harder. My name is Sascha Sander, and it's a pleasure for me to moderate and take you through a quick tour through the session. The main part of today's presentation will be performed by my colleague Magdalena Mari Serban, development lead at PITS, so the head of development. So I hope, Madi, that you can hear me well. Just a quick sound check.
I can hear you, Sascha. Hi, everyone.
That's great that you're with us. Well, we have had the chance to deal with most migration challenges in the past and have learned the core aspects that we should never lose sight of. Our migration teams are glad to share their experience and discuss specific challenges in a series of short webcasts dealing with the major phases of such a project. Today, the following webinars talk about preparation and the migration finally. So this first session will be focused on the project plan, how to take all the important aspects into consideration and determine the optimal time frame and milestones. So the solution will be focused on Oracle Forms to ADF and Apex migrations, but ideas apply to any other technology chosen for the future of your applications. So let's start with a quick view on today's agenda. First of all, I'd like to take a very quick tour, very quick update and introduction about PITS and PITSCon product and solution stack. Then Madi will share our experience on migrating Oracle Forms to those named technologies like ADF, Apex, or any other technology. After her session, we will have the chance for a quick wrap-up, and of course we will have the opportunity to discuss all of your questions in a separate and following Q&A session. And like always, some technical information so that to minimize sound problems, all attendees' mics are set on mute during the presentation. But as I mentioned, of course, you will have the possibility to ask your questions by chat to any dedicated topic coming up during the presentation. So please use the featured chat question at the GoToWebMeeting application found in the right bar of this apps. So please feel free to log in all your questions during the presentation to be discussed and answered then in the Q&A session. Well, for those of you who do not know about PITS, PITSCon has been around since '99. We are a leading provider of tools for Oracle Forms. We work successfully with hundreds of companies internationally, performing forms modernization, analysis, and ongoing development based on our solution, PITSCon. We are a long-standing Oracle partner. We are a preferred migration partner, doing even better testing for forms versions, enabling us to include in PITSCon products that stack very fast any functionality required by latest versions or releases provided by Oracle. We are very busy in the Oracle Forms community, joining directly or together with partners, a lot of events. We run a lot of presentations, so whenever you have the chance to join events, live events, take a look for PITS. We would be happy to welcome you. Well, PITS is working globally. One directly from out of our headquarters in Germany. We have a location with PITS UK in Twickenham, targeting the UK market for Americas with a daughter company, PITS LLC, out of Troy, Michigan. Moreover, we collaborate in various regions with dedicated and certified PITS partners, providing our solution expert services in their countries backed by PITS directly. We have a lot of very happy customers, so PITS is not working on PowerPoint only. We have customers around the globe, being in Europe, MENA, Asia Pacific, and the Americas. So all of these customers are related, of course, to our product, our core solution, our tool PITSCon. And PITSCon itself, it's not a one-time disposable product, but a short and long-term and multifunctionality tool to reduce costs and improve development processes and further application maintenance. So therefore, PITS offers a huge stack of functionality. We'll point out today some modernization functionality, and it's known as an innovative product for analyzing, maintaining forms applications, and even supporting the evolvement of these applications to the next level beyond 11G, 12C, according to the Oracle technology stack, including the modernization to Apex or to ADF. So quick, brief introduction. Let's head forward on the agenda point, migrating Oracle Forms to ADF Apex any technology together with Madi. But just at the moment to hand over, we appreciate very much, would like to open a quick poll just to give us a quick overview on you. Hubert, probably you can start a quick poll so we know what we see here, what you're just running, what Forms version you will run. Appreciate. Just click, give us a quick feedback. So it opens and closes in a few seconds. 5 more seconds, 4, 3, 2, 1, and closed. And you have a second one, Hubert. Probably you can open it just to give us an idea in general what you're thinking about, if you already consider a modernization path, what technology you prefer. Appreciate just to give us a quick view to whom we are talking, what is your preferred technologies, probably in the future considered. So thank you. 5 more seconds, and 3, 2, 1, and close it. Thank you, Hubert. Okay, so let's hand over to Madi. Let's see if I find the right one. Madi?
Yes, Sasha.
And just check it.
Just need to get the presenter right so that I can show the content of my presentation.
I just check because I do see only the PITS webinar organizer. I have a couple of them.
Okay.
Okay. Get it?
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks for the moment.
Thank you, Sasha, for the introduction, and hello again, everyone. Thanks for joining our webinar. I'm glad you are here. I saw the results of the poll, and I see that most of you are interested about ADF, 38%, 28% about Apex, 21% about Forms 12C, and 14% about other technologies. So we'll try to address all these aspects, all these technologies in the today webinar. But we'll start with Forms, and we'll get right to the business. Why do we want to migrate after all? Sasha, can you see my screen? Is my screen visible?
I just check it here. Sorry.
Just needed to check that my screen is visible.
No, not.
Okay.
Just check it. Can you take the moderator rights, probably? Yes, now I got it. Perfect.
Okay, thank you, Sasha. Now it's right. Okay, so to start the discussion about Forms, and then we go to the next technologies. First of all, I need to include a sort of disclaimer. Most Forms applications do not need to be migrated at all and can be further developed in Forms without any kind of problems. We had 2 weeks ago a webinar together with Michael Ferrante, Oracle's principal product manager for forms, and the idea was that the new 12C release, the lifetime support, are all motivating factors to stay with forms. Having said this, there are also situations where a migration is necessary. In my team, for instance, we develop at the same time forms, ADF, Apex application, and even other technologies such as .NET occasionally. So I included on the current slide an overview of Oracle Forms releases from the earliest recorded time, 1985, up to the present moment. We can see clearly over 30 years of forms lifetime, which translate into maturity for forms. However, the pace of development has slowed down in the latest time. You can see that between releases 10, you have in 2004, and 11G in 2009, there are 5 years. Again, between release 11G in 2009 and 12, we have 6 years. That is not necessarily bad because forms is mature, there are not so many bugs to fix, but if we have wishes, we may need to wait a while to see them implemented, and that may not be enough for some applications or some customers. So people see forms from different perspectives. Some appreciate it for maturity, for simplicity, while others see some major future issues and need to think of a migration, or at least to prepare. So getting to the next slide about the good, the bad, and the ugly of Oracle Forms, it is like an yin-yang of positives and negatives, and the question is not whether Forms is good or bad, but if for my application the positives outweigh the negatives or not. So let's discuss first the positives. It's powerful. Forms is used worldwide in almost all major corporations. You always find an Oracle database and you find one FMB running the FMX. Users are used to forms. They expect forms behavior in any new technology. This is an issue when we migrate because they want N shortcuts in any screen. Then another positive, it's mature. No major bugs anymore. If you need a data processing interface, forms can do the job in the best way possible. And not to forget the simplicity and the ease of development. And let's go to the wishes part. The coolness factor, for instance. Well, it's not so cool. I have here a screenshot. You can see below a screenshot of the main application my team works for. It's PitsCon, written in Forms, the main module of PitsCon. It has also modules in ADF and Apex. I think it's pretty cool, but my 11 years son says it's not cool. Now, my son is not a customer. It's okay, but for me, more and more we hear customers complaining, discussing that they cannot sell anymore their Forms applications. I admit if I think that PitsCon looks okay, I will show you later how it looks in ADF or in Apex. Totally different story. Another dimension of possibilities in terms of visual design. And it's not only about the way it looks like. There are also the fact that it runs in an applet and the annoying Java and security warnings. We have in 12C the possibilities of not running Forms in the browser, but if we need a web application, we have to deal with these warnings. Now, we've seen the ups and downs in Forms. Let's see if other technologies have their ups and downs as well. So I'll start with ADF. And these are the typical benefits advertised by Oracle. It is modular and abstract, first of all. You can replace even one architectural layer with another one without affecting the whole. The reuse is a big theme. It can reuse all kinds of components, reducing this way the maintenance. Customization hand in hand with personalization. These make an application flexible, adaptable to the needs. For instance, the whole user interface can be adapted for various customers, making the same application look differently and be adapted to the specific customer needs. And the main development is Java for ADF. That means that we can easily find developers. This is important. For instance, nowadays good forms developers are pretty rare and an issue in finding them. I included on the page 2 screenshots. One is a Pitscon ADF screen, the one below, the one above, and below, the below one is from Oracle. They look good, meaning that the ADF application can be easily accepted by end users, which translates for instance, for independent software providers, vendors, in better sales. But not only independent service providers need to modernize the forms applications. Even in-house applications need to be cool, need to be competitive. For instance, if my application is for the human resources department, for my colleagues in the human resources department, they need to be happy as well. If they are happy, this assures my job, my perspective, as we live in a competitive world. Now let's try the same discussion about Apex, and I have a slide as well. If you have an Oracle database, the nice thing about Apex is that you may already have Apex. It comes now pre-installed, ready for use, even in the free Oracle Express edition XE. So it's free. This is a major advantage. And not only, another very big benefit is that it is extremely fast to develop, because Apex takes care of the plumbing, of the user management, access, security. And this way, developers can use the time and energy purely to build functionality. And again, not only that, it looks great. This is the screenshot of Pitscon Apex. Apex is compatible with the HTML5 standards, has fully customizable interfaces as well, and can make astonishing, nicely screens as well, and so on. There is one more question we have when we look at new technologies, and that would be about eventual restrictions that these technologies may have. Regarding the restrictions, most of them are valid also for Apex and for ADF and for any other purely browser web application. We do not have an applet anymore as in forms. This is what we want it to be applet free, but this also means that I have to use the browser as it is. If I try to override a lot of the browser's functionality, I will end up with a not so nice application, not behaving nicely. So if my customers really want all those FN shortcuts, F1 to make an whatever, to execute query and perform them with FN, it is possible, but it would not be nice. We would not use the benefits of the new technologies. But nothing that cannot be solved. We've seen everything can be solved. So going further, about the migration. We've discussed about forms, we've discussed about ADF, Apex, about any other technologies. Can we also discuss .NET or whatever you may have in mind? But let's think of migration, because the migration principles are the same. Two kinds of inputs are necessary when we start thinking of a migration. Where we are, where we want to go. We start here on this slide with where we are. That means getting to know the application in detail, down to every component. This is the root, if done, of a series of further problems, if not done properly. Because understanding in detail a big application can be an extremely difficult task. It may be the fact that the application is old. Typical forms applications are 20 years old. The documentation may not be up to date. We may assign this task of understanding the application to a new developer. A young one she cannot understand probably the application by simply reading the documentation. This is valid for the majority of forms application I've seen. In addition, the young developers these days usually know SQL, Java, or C. Very few know PL SQL and forms. This complicates the job even further because the core of an application lies in its trigger functionality. For instance, the exact way events happen in forms is something very difficult to understand for a Java or C developer. And when we analyze, no module needs to be forgotten, no library, no report, everything is important. Also, the database is also important. How many schemas we have, which is the database status. Is the database normalized? Do we have primary keys in all the tables? This is important for both ADF and Apex. And we usually do not find this situation. So in most projects, modernizing does not only mean rewriting the user interface. The database side needs to be modernized and corrected as well. I have here, I will show a few reports that we typically use in knowing the application better, and we'll discuss their applicability. On this slide, you can see the navigation flow. I will demo how this flow is obtained. I think I have a PitsCon installation here. I want to jump to Internet Explorer, and it doesn't allow me, so I'll jump this way. So I have here a PitsCon installation, and you can see on the slide I had a screenshot with PitsCon. I'm showing you PitsCon just because I can exemplify the principles. It can be done manually just for a very big application. It's usual, it's good to do this task automatically, this analysis task. So I have in the PitsCon repository, I have loaded all the forms modules that I have. This is a demo application, only 14 FMB modules. I have libraries, I may have menus, object libraries, reports. And I can create with PitsCon an application flow, such as this one, where I can see how the applications are related, how you navigate from one application to another. For instance, I can see that customer FMB calls orders FMB, and again regular FMB calls and so on, and they call pick FMB and these reports, and I can see also further the other modules separated visually in small clusters, as you see. And I also see that there are also some FMBs not related to anything else, and I may ask myself, are these FMBs really used? Another type of report that we create with application is application analysis. For one FMB, for instance, I'm choosing one FMB, I may choose to see a summary of this module. This is important for a Java or Apex developer wanting to know one FMB module and to see what is performed in this FMB. Let's say program unit flow. I want to see all program units and to see how is the chain of calls in this application. And it's a huge representation. I can restrict. You've seen I have some checkboxes, and I can see I have a block with the items, and I have also triggers, and they call, for instance, when mouse double click calls this date chosen, and check master detail. Then I have set customer and so on, and it may also go down to the database. So I'm coming back to the presentation slides, and where I left this presentation. This is on this slide, I exemplify the navigation flow, the one that is very important in the initial phases of the analysis, because I can get a full picture of the application, and I refer to this analysis later as well. And on the next slide, I have the insight into one FMB module. This time, on this slide, I have a smaller module so that it fits the PowerPoint slide. You see blocks containing items, triggers, firing a chain of program units, going down to the database objects, manipulating table data. This is what I need to know when understanding the functionality and thinking how to redesign it to make it even nicer. This insight is necessary for each and every module we analyze before writing one single line of code. What we also do is identifying pieces of code. I've shown you earlier modules that may be obsolete, but in this way, looking at the chain of comments, I can identify pieces of code that are included in forms program but are never fired. These are obsolete or unused. Most applications, most old applications contain plenty of them. In our projects here at PITS, we identify these obsolete and unused objects automatically with a routine, a PITSCon routine, and then we delete them so that we can concentrate on the functional part of the application. We can get a better, clear view of the situation. And this is about application components, how many database schemas we have, how do they relate, navigate, if they are really used. Also important is the question about application performance. Is the application bug-free and performing well? This is something to ask the customers. Is the application perfect? Probably not. Probably we have wishes and we have bug reports. We'll have to deal with them as well in the migration, and we'll have to allocate time for fixing bugs and for improving the application so that the customers have a better version of their application at the end. So this comes to the customer wishes topic, which is another slide. What do we want to achieve? The wishes that we or our customers may have fall in two main categories. Less issues, they wish to have less bugs, and more features. So in the less issues category, we would find the end user wishes for a bugs-free application, a world without applets and Java warnings, and the new application on the right side of the slide, the life is better. The application should look great, the user interface really matters, the screens should be accessible on all kinds of devices. In most migration projects, the application is not simply migrated, but new functionality is developed as well. Apart from this, there might also be another motivation, a strategic choice towards Java or towards PL/SQL development. This depends on the talent available in the company and the overall technology strategy. I have on my next slide some good examples of the motivating factors in some migration projects for various corporations. You can see here PITS clients that migrated their applications to various technologies, mostly ADF, but not only. You can see some company names. There are many more names on the company website. All these clients have upgraded or migrated forms together with us, PITS, and this is why my colleagues in various project teams got the chance during the years to upgrade and migrate hundreds of forms applications, this way to get confronted with most possible situations. And this experience that they gathered may be relevant to you too. We want to share that. If I give some examples from PITSCon on my, I demonstrate using PITSCon, it is because it's the development platform we use for form. We packed inside all this know-how that we gathered throughout the years, and it's easy for me to exemplify. But now about the migration examples. From bottom to top, in chronological order, I listed various projects, and on the right side, you can see the motivation for migrations. Mostly people want user interfaces that are modern. They have a strategy towards PL/SQL or towards Java. They need to have a mobile deployment. For some of these examples, I have prepared separate slides. First of migration to ADF, performed in 2010, that is 6 years ago, and a US healthcare provider wanting to offer a better user interface to customers. And you can see the before after. Actually, they did not want to change screen, so it was a bit of a challenge for us to keep the same model. And you can see the degree of complexity of the screen, because these are master detail blocks. It was not easy, but it's doable, no problem. The difficulty was not only the complex user interface, but also the fact that the business logic was complex. We had some challenges with the WebUtil library to communicate to the client computer, integrating Oracle reports, implementing LDAP security, but it was a success. It works in production since January 2011. Going further, DTE Energy with an integration between Forms and ADF. So it is not always necessary to migrate. Sometimes the existing application can be simply extended with a couple of new screens. In this case, we have a calendar application written in ADF, extending the current Forms application. Another project, Volkswagen, we migrated to both ADF and .NET, and it was a very nice project and a very nice architecture. So we know about Volkswagen. They make cars. So imagine our system is responsible with car deliveries. Imagine trucks fully loaded with cars, ships, and trains, where the Volkswagen employees have to scan thousands of cars daily, edit data on the system, and this is done with the mobile scanner devices. You can see in the right side screenshots the mobile device application before and after screens. The whole process needs to be very quick and reliable. You can just imagine if we have a bug in our mobile device application, that the whole huge logistical problems with thousands of cars not delivered that can be generated. Not nice to think of this. So we did it. Needless to say, the end users were happy. The new screens look so great that the old mobile devices, you can see they went from this Forms interface to this one here. The mobile devices looked like smartphones. So the visual component is extremely important in a migration project. Now we have another example. Quicker through the slides. We had the pleasure of working together with Oracle colleagues on a migration project. I cannot include the before-after screens here, but can only tell you that the application looks extremely good. And one last slide. US South Energy, again ADF Mobile. You have here before-after screens running on tablets. There are more details always on this about these projects. There are references on Pete's website and on Oracle website. And so I've given examples of successful projects and the reasons various companies had to migrate. Before starting a project also, we have to know the risk factors. So next slide is about which risks do we have, what to consider from the very beginning, the typical difficulties people meet when starting a migration project. And the biggest issue migration projects have is the time budget, especially in projects where a full manual rewrite is planned. Because it is very easy to underestimate the amount of work. Let's say we have 100 screens, we could do that by June. But what happens is that after starting such an underestimated project, issues start popping up, and the migration time may get to 2-3 times bigger than the estimated one. Another consequence is that when projects start experiencing time pressure, usually people hire new developers, new contractors, the team is doubled or tripled, and quality compromises are made. This situation is now far away from the ideal starting point. Why do people start a manual rewrite? Because they want to design a state-of-the-art application with ideal architecture, consistent coding practices. And in this quick and dirty, desperate scenario, exactly what is not obtained. From what we have seen, very few projects attempting to rewrite an entire application from scratch, very few such projects were successful. Another set of difficulties are related to the learning curve. Where to start is a difficult question for both Forms and Java or Apex developers for different reasons. For instance, for Forms developers, they may have difficulties understanding the way the new technologies work and how to do things in the new technology. May worry about losing control, may have the tendency of doing things the Forms way, which would lead to less than optimal architecture. What we try is to help them make the transition. We implement partly automated migration routine, where we create the basic architecture that follows the best standards, the best practices created by Oracle, and then developers can concentrate first on a few core components. It speeds up also the migration time, and companies do not get into this time pressure and do not get into the situation where they need to compromise on the quality. And in time, Forms developers can understand the object's correspondence better between Forms and the new technology, gain understanding of the overall architecture, and learn their learning curve is quicker in this way. From the projects I have seen, this process works very well, and by the completion of a migration project, usually Forms developers are fully efficient in the new technology, having full ownership and control over the migrated application. I can demo a little bit how this process may look like. Of course, a migration is done in months, not in minutes. And I have in this presentation only minutes, but we created in Apex, because I always talk about ADF, I'll show Apex. We created in Apex a migration previewer, a sort of mock-up functionality. Don't think that a migration can be done in seconds, but I think this is nice to show also. This is ADF Essentials. Okay, I have to click through all the slides, all the pages I have. And this is the Apex, Oracle Forms to Apex previewer powered by PitsCon. So PitsCon is database application and Forms application, and Forms communicates with Apex very well. You have an interface in Apex. Here, I can choose one module that I have, and I will load into the repository. Okay, something happened. I'll connect it again, and hopefully it works. If not, I migrated it. My team is developing at this moment, so I just hope we don't work on the application at the same time. So I loaded the application into PitsCon repository, and what I see now is a summary of what I have in a Forms module: 2 alerts, 5 blocks, 5 canvases. What I did not load is a database, and because I want to do a sort of a mock-up demonstration, I need a database. In a real application, in a real migration, I would need the real database with the real objects and the libraries and everything else that the application contains. But we are not in that situation. We want to do it a quick and dirty demo right now. So what I'll do next, PitsCon can read the blocks and can see that they need some tables, as customer, as inventory creates the tables and the fields, so that I can do a demo. So I click Next and Migrate to Apex. Takes some seconds. What happens now is that we make a loop through all objects inside the application, and instantiate, create objects using Oracle Apex API. So create page, there are specific API commands, and you have the form has been migrated. You can see here a summary, and also the objects that have been created. So I'll just jump and try to see what we have. So this is the migrated, quick and dirty migrated application. I need to say again. One page, orders and items. I have orders. I have some test data created by Pitscon in the table 1, 2, 3, ABC. And if I click on the details, I jump to another page, which is a master detail, and so on. And I know stock, if stock goes to the stock. Okay. So that was the demonstration of how a migration would be like. Of course, in a real migration, we would load all the modules into Pitscon, all the libraries, everything the application has, even external text files, then parse everything, see the relationships between all these objects, then generate, and then there is a huge amount of work that we still have to do. There is no magic migration migration process that can solve everything in a couple of seconds. So it usually takes some time for a module. So there are things that don't get migrated in each and every module, just because forms and the new technologies are architecturally different, and we do not want to push things too far away and create some unnatural applications. We create only the basic architecture, the things that are clearly made like as they would be handmade, and then developers need to fine-tune this application and re-enable them, fully developed. So that was this demo. Also, coming back to the slides, it was the slide about what to avoid, about the fact that we do not want to exceed the time budget, and that for forms developers it's difficult to understand the new technology. The same thing about difficulty is also for Java and Apex developers. They have their own difficulties in migration projects. And this time, the difficulties are about understanding forms. They typically have problems locating some hidden forms functionality, may end up over-analyzing, wanting to rewrite everything, or having difficulties in estimating the duration of a migration project simply because the forms application is not well known. But we have this set of analysis results that can help the developers find a middle way, a balance between reuse and rewrite, allowing progresses to be made quickly, but without compromising on the quality. And the solution we see is a process that takes a little bit from the both world, a little bit of automated migration, a little bit of manual rewrite, so that we reach the ideal situation when the application is nicely written and easily to understand and maintain afterwards, and when the developers can understand, the forms developers can easily learn the new technology, and the new technology developers can understand forms and can get up to speed into rewriting them. The first issue we have in planning is this one, the budget, the estimation. We need to know from the very beginning how much it will take. Months, weeks, years. So the general issue about the budget is that although people know the application, so know that some modules may be more complex than others, it is very difficult to say exactly how long it will take for each module to be migrated, or overall how complex the application is to be migrated. In the right side pie graphic, we have a summary of an application complexity. You can see that most modules in these demo situations are simple. So 60 modules are simple, 10 modules are complex. So in this case, the migration process should not be so difficult. It would be easy when a module is not very complex. It has just a couple of blocks and 2 canvases or something. It's easy to understand it. Even a junior developer could find his way in this migration. But if my application would have mostly highly complex modules, and this situation is also, I've seen this situation many times, then I would need to start the application, start the project on the right foot. I would need some experienced developers experienced in the migration process, so that they can start the project on the right foot. Regarding this assessment, we need more than just a feeling that the modules are easy or complex. So intuition and feelings are good, both, but in this case we need metrics. And we developed, I have on this slide an analysis report containing our own metrics. We looked at how long it takes for us to migrate one module, develop some metrics. Here is an example, and we calibrated these numbers across all the migrations we have discussed about. These numbers allow us now to estimate with a very high accuracy the time budget. And I can also know a junior developer how much we'll need, and the senior developer, and I can make a forecasting depending on the team that I have. You can see here the modules in a real application represented graphically. You have this graphic. These are individual modules. Some of them are very simple. It may take a couple of hours to migrate them, and some of them are huge. It may take weeks, even weeks. And finally, after discussing about the budget, about estimation, we can start the planning. So going to the next slide, the discussion about planning starts with the basic question: where to start the project, what to do afterwards. If we have a big application, then we will need to separate functional areas. We call them clusters. I've shown you this flow, application flow, and I'm coming back to that to exemplify what I need to say. If we make the forms flow analysis, you see that it separates into clusters. I have here one cluster of these modules, calling these FMVs. By the way, these FMVs, I don't have them. They are gray. They lack. I don't have them in my analysis, and I will need them. And I can see here another cluster. So in this analysis, modules tend to separate themselves visually, to group together in clusters, and we can separate the application functionally. When we think of where to start, this diagram also gives us the starting point. It is usually the starting module, such as the login mask, the menu module. I may include as well a functional module. The first cluster should not be so big, but will be the one where we create the foundation for the project. We'll define the whole architecture, infrastructure. If this first project, first cluster is successful, the whole project starts well, has the best chances to succeed. If not, the project may get executed, but with a lot of stress, with higher cost. It wouldn't be fun to be part of that project. Plus, a well-executed project, cluster 1, would also be visible inside the company, and the development team may get credit, better support from this. This is why when planning the project team, we need to allocate senior experienced developers for this first cluster. If the architecture is defined correctly from the start, then the junior developers will have the best chances in the next project phases to learn and develop correctly. We try to accomplish this partly with PITSCORN. So when we migrate an application, we try to create an ideal, consistent architecture for the entire application. And this way, no matter how many developers we have in the team, they will all follow the same architectural patterns, coding guidelines, and so on. So, and now the plan. This page may seem really complex, but look at it in this way. It summarizes 4 migration paths, just because the webinar is about migration to everything. So the first one is 12C. The second one starts from the form. This is the starting point, and end in different target technologies. Here's Forms 12C, ADF, Apex, and anything else, any GUI. Yes? So first line is about forms upgrade. The second line, starting with forms, going through phase 1 and then going on the second line with phase 2, 3, and 4, is the forms to ADF migration. Then we have Apex, again, starting with forms and going on the third line with the migration, and any other technology. Principles are the same in any kind of migration project. So each of these paths has two main components. It has preparatory steps, phases 1 and 2. You see here, phase 1, forms preparation, and phase 2, usage of PitsCon for us. We use PitsCon to do partly automated migration. In case you would have a fully manual migration, you would jump from phase 1 to phase 3. And then we have the migration, the phases 3 and 4, which are migration and test. The first design of this process has been made more than 7 years ago. It has been applied in countless projects since then, and it's actually unchanged almost, as actual now as it was then, with just minor adjustments, such as we don't have forms 10G, we have 12C, and so on. But let's discuss first about phases 1 and 2. Phases 1, forms preparation, analysis, cleaning, business logic. These are about simplifying. When we have complex forms, we want to reduce the complexity. So this is why we have this roadmap that contains a few steps that are easy to apply and that increase our success chances, save a lot of project time. So the process involves at first a thorough application analysis, as I said before, followed by steps aimed to reduce these application size and complexity, to have as many simple modules as possible. And these steps are identifying and cleaning as much as possible of the obsolete functionality, deleting the unused components and unused modules, deprecated modules, we need to delete them and concentrate on the important part. If we want, we can migrate logic to the database, which is the ideal architecture for Apex, and can also work with ADF. These steps can be performed quickly with PitsCon, so all we want is to eliminate objects that are not used, also duplicates, code duplicates especially. This is about redundancy elimination. Redundancy is about not migrating the same routine 20 times, but identifying that it is a repetitive process routine, and then identifying this routine correctly as a shared resource migrated in a shared library, for instance. And after these initial phases, we have the phase 3, which is perfecting and enhancing this migrated application. This phase contains similar processes for ADF and Apex projects. And as I said before, we do not just migrate, but try to enhance, to add some new components, some modern components, so that we take advantage of all the possibilities of the new technology and bring additional features to our users. This phase 3 is usually performed for each project cluster so that we can define project milestones, divide the work across teams, and when the initial team members become efficient in the migration process and in the technology, the migration team can grow, including, again, junior developers that may get coached and trained by the initial team members. And finally, about phase 4, it is about the test. Actually, a certain degree of testing should be performed earlier on an ongoing basis during phase 3, even after phase 1. But a real unit test can be performed only after completing a cluster. And if we did our job well during the planning and the first 3 phases, this final phase should be nice and rewarding, and the software team should live happily ever after in the new technology, with their brand new application, with happy end users. This is what we want. And these were so far my ideas on how to plan to accomplish these results. There is a lot more to say, and next sessions in this webinar series will look into the first project phases, into phase 1 and 2, and then into phase 3, and what to do to avoid the drama in such projects. I will give my colleague Sasha the time to say some words too, and then we will have the question and answer session. So please start to ask questions using the chat. Sasha?
Yes, Maria, I hear you very well. Drama. Good final word. I take over probably moderator rights. Just check. Okay. You should see my screen now.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So thank you very much, Madi, for this very interesting insight view. Well, this technical overview and provision of benefits possible for a lot of applications. Sure, our attendees have. So also from my side, I would like to encourage you now, please place your questions in the question part. We would be very happy to answer, to discuss with you. But in general, I'm pretty confident that you realize potential benefits for your projects or project requirements as well, and for sure you are aware that migration process is not a push on the button, but moreover requires a proper analysis and application preparation possible depending on your requirements. So we can support you in analysis, perform the migration, check if there are any efforts, pitfalls with the sophisticated analysis capabilities. We can support you during the whole project, of course, with all of our expert services, our consulting team. That's our daily business, and we would like to share our expertise with your team. So finally, it's all about shortened projects, migrate safe, fast, cost-effective, so that you can move forward with your core business successfully. Well, Q&A opened, and I see some questions coming in. Okay, great. So let's see. Madi?
Yes?
Okay, so if migrating functional areas, do you see any issues calling Apex screens from within an Oracle Forms application, and can this work seamlessly?
Well, I had the example that I showed you before with PitsCon, which is a Forms application, calling an Apex application, and it works. There is no problem. Also, this is the example about Apex. I showed, we have a customer case study about integrating ADF and Forms, which is the same story. So yes, it can be done in a seamless way, both for ADF and for Apex.
Okay, thank you. So another question for you. Forms often relies on database roles. Do you have a migration path in PitsCon for migration to application roles, and how to implement that in Apex or ADF?
Okay, we have very usually this situation. I once had a project of migration of Forms to Apex, and we had roles and we had users in the database. What we did, there are several solutions. We used VPD created in the database to take care of all the roles. We created a separate schema in Apex that contains the Apex application, and this schema was using the VPD connection. For ADF, there are always these solutions applicable. Of course, ADF has its applicability, it has the connection pooling, so it gives the possibility of using the connection pooling or using dedicated database connection. So I can make use of either one of them, and by using the dedicated database connection, I would solve this problem. ADF has its advantage in the connection pooling. Imagine a website such as Amazon. They could not create a dedicated database connection for each and every buyer. Only when I am sure I want to buy that item, I get the dedicated connection. So it's possible, but you need to define the architecture from the very beginning so you don't have surprises during the project, and you need to prototype. During the prototype, take care of all the wishes and make a very strong prototype that solves them. So everything is possible.
Okay, great. Thank you. So one question for me, is it possible to get a copy of the slides to review? Well, in general, the webinar is recorded and will be available via our YouTube channel soon. So check out. I will have a slide you see our YouTube channel at the end of the session. So another question for you, Madi, is Apex stable for all situations?
It's stable. Apex is very stable. I guess maybe the answer was about suitable. At the beginning, there were questions if Apex was suitable for bigger applications. People were wondering, could it handle corporate applications? What if this and other requirements? I did not see yet a requirement that cannot be solved. Everything can be solved. It's just a matter of how complicated the solution is, but everything can be solved.
Okay. So great. Another question: should we consider integrating forms part in the ADF Apex Angular.js in the same browser window during the migration?
You usually will have one browser window for one application, so not the same one. So from forms, and we try to, when we migrate, yes, you can jump from one application to another freely, no problem. But and you could integrate them, but you would not create a nice application. I guess the ideal situation when you integrate these technologies is to separate them so that the end user does not jump too much from forms to ADF and from ADF to Apex and so on. But you have a cluster defined in forms, and you don't jump out of this technology scope, and another cluster in ADF you jump. You limit the degree of navigation among technologies just because you have global variables in forms and everything, and you would need to pass them. You can do that, but it's a better architecture and a better solution to separate clusters.
Okay. Fine. So there's one question about reports coming in throughout this series. So webinar series. Will you touch on Oracle reports and how to continue using or options to migrate to something new? In this case, I'm continue using, and how to continue using options to migrate in something new. In this case, I'm migrating to ADF, but I would like to continue using Oracle reports.
Okay, there are a lot of solutions for Oracle reports. People use, either they stay with reports which have, from the end user perspective, no problem. They don't have an applet. They don't bother as much as Form does. So you can start from the ADF PDF report without having any type of issue, especially because reports and ADF can be deployed on the same WebLogic server. So they can coexist very nicely. We tried to plan a series about reports and about the possibilities to migrate to BI Publisher, or to keep them in reports, or to go to whatever Jasper Crystal reports, or simple Apex pages. This is another very nice solution.
Okay. Then the question, are there any tools for migrating into Oracle Apex from Oracle Forms? Yes. There is. We just talked about product set. That's exactly the tool that supports the process and that supports migration. Any words from your side, Madi? I think you discussed already. And
yeah, of course, I can present the solution that we are developing. So
yes.
I manage the development department at PITS, and we develop PITSCon, and PITSCon migrates from Forms to to ADF, to Apex, so I can recommend, of course. But not only that, we develop it from time to time. The same developers creating the product are involved in migration projects. And right now, the whole ADF department is carrying on a migration project, and the Apex colleagues are implementing new features. So it's not only a product that we sell, it's a product that we use ourselves in migration projects, and we have to make it good, because otherwise we would not be competitive when carrying on migration projects for our customers.
Fine. So there's a question coming in, well, you demonstrated a simple example forms to Apex. Can we see a simple example forms to ADF as well? Yeah.
It's just that the time, the webinar did not offer me enough time to show, but you saw with the Apex previewer the forms to Apex process. And we have an ADF previewer, and it happens the same. So you input an FMB module, and you have a quick and dirty migration. You have some screens migrating in ADF. It happens exactly in the same way. It's just another technology. So instead of using Oracle Apex API, we use Oracle ADF API and instantiate the Java classes and everything that we need. So we create the application. It's not just we translate some XML files and so on. Maybe in the next webinars I'll include a demo of forms to ADF just to be consistent.
Okay, thank you. Question about any CSS frameworks. Can we use CSS frameworks with a migration, such as Bootstrap, as an example?
There are a lot of requirements in our migration project. So people already develop ADF applications or Apex applications, and they want to use their way of their development standards and libraries and everything. And that, yes, we can incorporate them. So it's very flexible, the process. It can incorporate existing libraries, existing development standards and files and so on.
Okay. Well, another question, is it possible to integrate BI Publisher and Apex, or do we need to buy a separate license for BI Publisher?
I guess BI Publisher wants a license.
Yeah.
It can be integrated, but it's not free.
No, it is not. Yeah. And another question, is there any big rush to migrate to 12c forms, seeing as browser support for the Java plugin has been removed from Chrome? It could be removed from IE11. Does PITS add a migration to Java WebStart?
Oh, yes, we have a lot of customers interested in 12c exactly for this reason. So they are annoyed of all these warnings, and they see 12c, in 12c a possibility. We just released in January the new PitsCon version, so fully supporting 12c migration, and we performed the first forms to 12c migration. First of all, we migrated PitsCon, which itself has a forms component, and we developed 2 bugs in forms 12c, 3 I guess right now, which were pretty major at that moment, but Oracle has already created patches, and yes, we support that, and it's doable.
Okay. So thank you very much at that point for your very, very interesting questions. Appreciate. So at this point, just one outlook for upcoming events and webinars. So for UK, we will join the Irish Oracle user group beginning of March. We have a follow-up webinar March 9th already scheduled, same time, talking about Apex under control. We have some on-site events already scheduled for March, for April, up to June. You see here. Check out regularly our website. Look forward to meet you one of these events. Some events, Outlook and webinars in US and Canada in February, 9th to 11th. The Rocky Mountain Oracle User Group training days, presenting there, just as Mari discussed about Oracle Forms 12c on February 10th, we have a webinar scheduled, Migration to Oracle ADF, and March 8th, another webinar, very interesting, talking about Oracle Mobile Application Framework and Mobile Cloud Services. Don't miss this. We look more forward to joining us as well. So if you have any further questions for the moment, please come back to us. For the Pizza Americas, my colleague Joe Bell at jbell@pizzamerica.com, or for Pizza UK or other region where you joining us today, please come back directly to me at sander@pitws.com, or directly to my colleague David Brown at dbrown@pitws.com, or join our website. We would be happy to meet you soon again. So finally, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Would be happy if you can subscribe here, and you will always see a lot of nice stuff, latest videos, and of course recorded webinar available. So at this point, Madi, let me thank you. All attendees, let me thank you for your time as well.
Thank you too, Sasha, and thanks everybody.
So thank you. We are looking forward to meeting you. Thank you. Have a great day wherever you are, or a nice evening.
Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Cheers.